The station was called Nowhere, and the sign was the only thing that looked new. Everything else was a symphony of decay, peeling mint green paint, cracked benches, and a single, flickering fluorescent light that buzzed like a trapped wasp. The air smelled of damp concrete and forgotten things. Momo checked her phone for the 10th time. No service. The digital display above the tracks, the only other modern thing, was stuck on last train, delayed. It had been that way since she'd stumbled down the grimy steps an hour ago, fleeing the cacophony of the city above. She was alone. Utterly. The silence was so profound she could hear the blood pulsing in her ears. A distant rumble grew into a roar, and a train, sleek and impossibly silent despite its speed, slid into the station. It was pristine, its silver surface reflecting the dismal platform in perfect, warped detail. The doors hissed open. Empty. A recorded voice, smooth and genderless, echoed through the station. Now boarding. The last train. Final stop, Nowhere. Momo hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to stay put. But the platform felt suddenly colder, the shadows between the pillars deeper. She stepped inside. The doors sealed behind her with a sound like a vacuum lock. The train moved instantly, accelerating with a force that should have thrown her to the floor, yet she felt nothing. There were no windows, just blank, metallic walls. The same smooth voice came over the speaker. Thank you for choosing the final journey. Please make yourself comfortable. Your arrival in Nowhere is imminent. Momo sank into a plush seat, her heart hammering. Hello, she called out. Her voice was swallowed by the unnerving silence. A soft thump came from the seat behind her. She spun around. Nothing. Then, a whisper, so close it could have been inside her own head. You don't remember me, do you? It was a voice she knew. A childhood friend, Lila, who had moved away in the 3rd grade. A memory, long buried, surfaced, a secret handshake, a promise to be best friends forever. Lila? Momo whispered, her blood running cold. The lights flickered. For a split second, the seat was occupied. A girl with blonde pigtails, exactly as she was 20 years ago, sat staring ahead. Then, she was gone. The train decelerated smoothly. The voice announced, next stop, Nowhere. The doors didn't open. Instead, the blank wall opposite her shimmered, becoming a screen. It showed a hospital room. Her grandmother, in her final hours, reaching out a frail hand. Momo, then a teenager, had been too scared to take it. She had stayed in the hallway. The image of her grandmother's hand, falling limply to the sheet, was seared into her mind. The regret was a physical pain. A cold, papery hand slipped into hers. Momo gasped, yanking her hand back. The scent of talcum powder and medicine filled the air. The train began to move again, but it wasn't accelerating forward. It felt like it was descending, sinking deeper into the earth. The voice returned, colder now. Nowhere is not a place. It is a state. The state of being defined by your omissions. The friendships you let fade. The apologies you never gave. The love you were too afraid to show. You have been traveling here your whole life. We are simply making your arrival official. One by one, the ghosts of her neglect manifested around her. The co-worker she'd let take the blame for her mistake, standing in the aisle with sad, accusing eyes. The old lover whose calls she'd ignored, a silent tear tracing a path down his translucent cheek. They didn't speak. They just watched. Their silence was a heavier judgment than any scream. The train car was now crowded with these specters of her own creation, a gallery of her every moral failure. The air grew thick and cold, becoming difficult to breathe. Arriving at Nowhere. The train stopped. This time, the doors opened. Beyond was not a platform, but an endless, gray expanse. A featureless plain under a starless, twilight sky. It was silent, empty, and profoundly still. One by one, the ghosts began to disembark, walking into the gray and dissolving into it. They were going home. Momo remained frozen in her seat. This was her stop. This was her destination, built from every time she had taken the easy way out, every connection she had failed to nurture. The cold hand of her grandmother found hers again, this time with a gentle, pulling insistence. All passengers must disembark, the voice said, final as a tombstone ceiling. Tears streamed down Momo's face as she understood. The last train goes nowhere wasn't a journey to a place, but a reconciliation with the emptiness she had carried inside all along. Her failures weren't chasing her. They were waiting for her. They were her. She rose on trembling legs. She didn't look at the ghosts anymore. She looked at the endless gray. Taking a shuddering breath, Momo, the architect of her own void, stepped across the threshold. The train doors hissed shut. The sleek, silver car dissolved into the twilight, leaving no trace it had ever been there at all. On the platform in the city above, a man in a suit checked his watch, annoyed at the delay. The display flickered, then changed. Last train, departed. The platform was empty. It always had been.